All right, today we're going to talk about the motorization for the SMX screen system. And I use the Somfy motors. And the reason I do that is because they've got a lot of accessories. It's really easy to use. So they have accessories that will interface with like your Lutron system, like the graphic eye. They also have a smartphone bridge, and they're pretty popular. And in fact, some of the commercial screen masking systems use the exact same motors, the exact same remotes. And so I got a wireless version, which makes it super easy. You don't have to deal with motor controllers or plugging in a bunch of different things, running cables. You literally just assemble the thing, stick it on the wall. You do have to plug it into power, but otherwise it's good to go and it just runs. I've been super impressed with them. So I'm going to walk through some of the pieces because, if you're putting together your own system, it can be a little tricky to kind of understand what all the pieces do and how it works. So this is the actual motor itself. And the way it works is the piece on the top here will be held stationary by the brackets. And then this is called the drive down here. And this is the part that actually will start turning the roller. It's like inside the tube when it does that. So you have the motor itself. This is what's called the drive. And the purpose of this is, it will slide on the end here, and then it will actually grip the tube on the inside and turn the tube. So when you're looking for all of your parts, the drive needs to be sized correctly for the tube that it's going into. And the same up here for the crown. The crown is actually just the piece that interfaces with the roller at the other end of the motor. And this holds it stationary, but also there's this little piece on top here. This actually this screws on to the motor up here, and it's got these little brackets, and it will actually, you see these grooves here, will actually lock the motor into place so it doesn't roll, it doesn't turn when the motor itself starts to turn. So that's kind of how that goes together. And again, if you're speccing your own system, you want to make sure that the crown and the drive match the roller, that the inside diameter of the actual roller tube matches those. The other piece is, so you have the motor on the one end of the tube. On the other end of the tube, you have what's called this idler pin, and it's spring-loaded. You can see it goes up and down. And I have an adapter here because this is a 1.5-inch idler pin, and this is a 2-inch tube. So I have an adapter, the adapter goes in, and then the pin goes in. And the purpose of this pin is on the other side. It will actually drop into this hole, and then it will spin freely. So you want to make sure that you get the right brackets that match the right idler pins and the motor bracket on the top here. And then you want to make sure the crown and drive match the tube. If we look at the tube here, this is actually made to be a roller shade tube. It's just an aluminum tube, but it's got these flanges on the inside. And the purpose of that is that they actually line up. If you look at the drive here, it will actually line up and grip those so you don't have to do anything. A lot of people that I've seen online will actually, they'll spec a tube that's not necessarily meant to be a roller shade tube, which means it's the same size, same diameter on the inside, but it might be missing these flanges. And that's all right too. What I've seen people do is they'll actually drive. So they'll put this all inside, and then they'll drill a hole and they'll tap a screw into here, which will lock the drive to the actual tube, which will allow it to turn it without the flanges that are built into here. So just depends on what you can find, what you can source. In my AVS forum post, I linked to all of the parts that I bought Hopefully that will be valid for the foreseeable future, and it'll be really easy for people to get all the parts. They won't have to go scrounge locally or whatever. One last thing I mentioned is that these motors come without plugs, and so you do just have to kind of go to a local hardware store, buy a plug, and wire it on there. Not a big deal. Yeah, I think that's all I need to cover for right now. So I'm going to go ahead and assemble this piece, and then I'll show you how to actually attach it to the frame. Okay, so I have my motor assembled here. I've got the drive on this end. And one thing I forgot to mention is the motor actually comes with this little black cap. It's not strictly necessary because the drive actually clips on, but this will just make sure the drive doesn't fall off. And it looks like this. Just a little cap. You can put it on there after you put the drive on. It's got a little screw that goes on the end. You can see on this end, my crown. Got the crown clipped on there. And then on the top here, I just screwed this bracket on. And you'll see that the power cable actually has a little groove that it just comes out the side there. So now I'm ready to slide it into my tube and finish assembling my tube assembly. Okay, I've got my tube assembled here. You can see on the one side I've got the idler pin with the adapter for the 2-inch aluminum tubing, and you'll see that basically when it goes on, the idler pin's going to go into that hole, and there's a little bit of spring to it, so it doesn't have to be exactly perfect, and it will pop in and out easily. On the other end, you can see that I've slid the motor into the tube here, and you can see that it's got the crown there, just right there, nice, keeping the motor from actually going all the way into the tube. And then we've got this piece on top that we attached, and it's got these 2 brackets that will actually clip in nicely like that when we go to put it on the wall. So you want to be careful if you don't spec something like this. I think these are called Skyline adapters. They have other ones where you know, a lot of these are designed to be put horizontally on the wall, and so they have adapters where they're designed to basically drop in, and they expect gravity to kind of hold things in place, to hold the roller in place. The nice thing about this one is it actually clips in so our rollers can be vertical. So watch out for that if you spec something else or you buy a different bracket, that it's not one that will only work horizontally. So I'm going to go ahead and attach this to the frame, and we'll get going. Alright, so now we have our rollers installed, roller shade tubes with the motors inside them. And I've got this simple Somfy Telus remote. It's capable, we'll do a separate video on programming it. It's actually really simple, but basically you can set it so that if you press the up button, it will go all the way out, and then if you press the down button, it will go to a predetermined length, and then you've got a favorite. So the nice thing about that is with this simple remote, you could do 4:3 aspect ratio by going all the way down. You go 2.35 to 1 CinemaScope by going all the way up, and then you can program like a 16:9 with your favorite. Let me just show you how this is installed here. So again, you can see that the motor side I actually placed on the bottom, and the reason I did that was so that I can run the cable along these cable management clips and to my my outlet here. I actually pre-installed an outlet on either side. I haven't wired it up yet, but you get the point. The cable will come this way, it'll plug in. And then on the top here, the roller, the idler pin is on the top on both sides. And in order to accommodate the motor being on the bottom on both sides, I'm actually going to have to reverse the direction, and we can do that with the remote when we program. So one of them will spin in reverse of the other so that they both come towards the inside when you push the memory button. So let me just show you. Just come up to one of these rollers here and press the remote, and you can see it starts to spin. You can see the yellow thing there is tape, so when we actually put the mask fabric on there, we'll tape it on, and then we'll hit the roller, and it will start to roll it up. So yeah, you can see the motorization is good to go. This point we need to install sliders, and obviously the screen fabric and the masking system. So I'll do some follow-ups on those, but at this point you should have motors installed, ready to program, and looking good.